Off the coast of Homosassa, Florida, miles from civilization, through sawgrass swamps lies a unique cave system known as Buzz Spring. Just north of the St. Mart's Keys, on the floor of the Gulf of Mexico, lies one of 5 rare Anka-A-line cave systems. Many of the karst features explored during this initial recon were medium to large rooms or impassable fissures. Until we actually found Buzz Cave System, there was no linear cave passage. After we arrived at this site, in order to get ready for these types of dives, we have to make sure that obviously all our gear is prepared and ready to go. Some of the equipment we use on these types of dives is a little bit different from a normal cave dive. Obviously, we always use side mount configuration, which allows us to enter into much smaller spaces. The water around Buzz Cave is all normally 3 to 5 feet deep, depending on the tidal fluctuation, and surrounded by rich seagrass. After you enter the cave, immediately you will see that it's a side mount cave system, and we were a bit hesitant, thinking that possibly it just might stay side mount for a long time, but shortly after getting into the cave, approximately 150 feet, you come into your first sulfide layer, and it's a pretty large room. This section of the cave is where the T is that separates the upstream and the downstream section. The upstream section was the first section explored by Matt Van Zant on his first trip into the cave. On the second trip into the cave, there were several hundred feet of beautiful sand chutes with girthite, and once again the sea life was persistent throughout most of the cave system, regardless of the haloclines. But eventually, these chutes and small passages led to some very large cave. Further back in the system, most of the passage is at least 20 feet wide and 20 feet high. And at one point during the exploration, Andrew Pitkin and I looked at each other and were signaling, oh boy, we're going to need scooters, we're going to need rebreathers. On our 4th visit to Buzz Spring, we brought a larger team in order to document the cave with video. The divers that assisted us on this dive were Paul Heinrich, Rudy Sturm, and Curt Bowen with Advanced Diver Magazine. During the video of the cave, Curt Bowen had just gotten into the first half of the larger section. What you may not be able to see in the video that was shot is some of the larger sections of cave. During their dive into the cave, they had some wonderful visibility going in, but still had a lot of problems with video lighting because of some of the layering in the cave and the sulfide layers. The most intriguing thing about the cave system as of yet is that there is a lot of cave-adapted life forms: sponges, feather duster worms, anemones, crabs. But hopefully sometime in the near future we'll be able to get a qualified scientist to this location so that further identification of these creatures can be done. Andrew Pitkin and I were pretty excited about this exploration. As I said, Anchialine cave systems are very rare. At the very end of the upstream and downstream sections of the cave, there are small areas where there is no sea life and the water is very clear. If I had to speculate or guess, I would say sometime in the distant past, this was a functioning freshwater spring. During this video dive that was performed by Paul and Curt and Rudy, they did notice other leads that we haven't explored yet, so there's certainly more exploration left to be done in Buzz Cave. If you look at the map, it'd be pretty easy to tell just how large the cave system is. Our boat was 18 feet long and was only half as large as the entrance itself. Although it is necessary to use side mount techniques to get into Buzz Cave, most of the system is extremely large.